Hello friends, I'm Colonel Failure, and you are watching Rail Nation, which is brought to you in association with Travian Games, who have sponsored this series. Many thanks to them. They're a lovely bunch. Anyway, the game has finished, and I'm going to run you through pretty much, what happened and how we got on and so forth. So why not stick around and watch that? So while I'm going to talk you through how the game wound up and how the magnificent members of Rail Brigade got on, not to mention Fail Rail and Cindy Vapid Transit and the various other contestants that we had drawn from the audience of this here video edifice, thought I'd do a bit of a review of the game overall because it kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I've played quite a few browser-based games and I like them because you're not 100% engaged. They're great for dipping into for 10 minutes at a time. And then obviously if you're on your phone and you're unable to get to your computer and you're just, you want to kill a couple of minutes, the game is sat there waiting for you. But where I was taken by surprise with the Rail Nation was the depth of strategy that comes out of what is, on the surface, quite a simplistic looking game. Well, I say simplistic. No, simple looking. Simplistic implies that that there's no real science to it. Simple makes it look like, what I have to do here is mechanically relatively straightforward. And to an extent that's true. But where it ends up getting more complicated is in what you're choosing to haul, where you're choosing to haul it from, and when you switch over. And the end game, so after you finish the 6th tech era, the top 10 cities go through into an end game to find the best of the few, of the brave, of the few, of the best of the few. And you're trying to make your city the toppest of top dogs, while at the same time make your association the biggest and baddest of the bunch. Now, I'm going to, bit of a spoiler alert here, although you're watching the video, so none of this counts as spoilers. We are absolutely rinsed. We made it through to the end game. Oh, yeah, way to go, Kirkville. But we got absolutely murderated by an association called the Rail Pirates, who had been just delivering for the entire game and just stormed away. I was initially expecting endgame to last about a week, ended up lasting about 2 days. They absolutely hammered it. So here's the difference, right? So to start with, what you're doing is you get your train and you go and find some goods and you take those goods to a place, right? Easy peasy. You get more trains, you get more goods types, and so on. If you bring a goods type that is heavily in demand by the city that you're in, then if enough people deliver enough stuff, the city grows up to be the next size, and then it re-rolls what it is that it's looking for. All fair and above board. Now, sometimes you will deliver what it wants, because you want the city to grow, because that's all beneficial. Sometimes, however, you're just going to deliver some random old thing because it pays more. There is always the balancing act between doing what is right for your city and doing what is right for your bank balance. And that juggling act is really tricky to get right. There is clearly an optimum build order to do on your station early on in the game. Obviously, I didn't do that, and I didn't look at any guides or any kind of pro tips for rookies. I went, nah. I'm not doing any of that business. I'll play it as I find it. Had I done so, I would not have found myself trailing by quite so many influence prestige. That's what they call it. Prestige points. Later on, there were people in my association that had double the number of prestige points than me, and I went like, but how? How have you done that? And prestige, one of the ways that you earn that is by delivering goods that the city wants, while I was spending quite a lot of time pursuing cash in order to build up what I had. But then I'd look at the people who were leading me on prestige, and I'd go like, but hang on. They've also built up their station more than me. What is the trick that I am missing? I couldn't put 2 and 2 together to figure out exactly What? And of course I had the inevitable chatter that, I mean, you get a lot of chatter going on in the game. And the inevitable chatter that was trying to steer me in the right direction, which I studiously ignored, because that's just how I roll. But somehow, largely through the efforts of other members of the Kirkville posse, who were, you know, a pretty rum bunch, has to be said, we managed to make it through to the end game, and it's only the top 10 cities that make it through. In the end game, all the remaining cities turn into mega cities, and their demands, they flip over it looked like every half an hour or so, and I think it probably is every half hour or so, and so it really pays to be fully engaged for the entire time, because you're going to spend a little bit of time delivering some stuff, and then it's going to roll over again, and the demands all shift each time. There's like 12 things that they're looking for at any given moment, and then they shift every so often. And the first thing you know that you're headed into the wilderness here is when you go like, right, who's going to be our caller, comes up in the chat, and you go, the what now? Who's going to do what? And it really does make a big difference to have a player, a designated player, calling the shots with regard to what you should be chasing. More than that, when it's about to roll over, you'll get calls going out of park your trains up, park them up at the town, you know, so that you can get the fastest possible turnaround. They'll tell you which stations to go to and so on. And you try and deploy as much as possible. But of course, you're buying new wagons constantly, which is absolutely hammering any cash that you've got. And because you're capped with regard to how much cash you can store in a flipping bank, you're kind of going, well, look, I'm going to have to compromise here, and only a couple of these can go and do the thing we need to. The others are going to go and have to earn me some money somehow so that I can afford to keep up. It's really quite interesting. And dare I say it, exciting. It's really quite interesting. And I'll tell you, I would have liked to see a little bit more endgame. That we got destroyed so quickly. The game basically ended because the Rail Pirates and their associated crew just got that done. Just walloped straight through, no problem at all. One thinks they may have played before. But hey, that's all right. No, I mean, veteran players will always beat noobs every day of the week. So it's okay. I don't mind it, but I would like to see a little bit more of the end game just to get a feel for it. No, it was. It caught me off guard. The first day of end game, and I dipped in, same way as I had been doing. I tended to dip in 3 times a day, keep everything ticking along, spend a bit of money, buy some new trains, do a bit of research, all of that kind of jazz, staying on top of it. Endgame comes along, and I'd missed the first 3-4 hours of it, and flipping heck, it was all over the joint. Everything was just like, chaos, and so on. Terrific. So there you go, Rail Nation. An interesting game. It is very strategic. It is a strategic network builder, multiplayer kind of thing. Collaborating with a good association, or even staying on your own and collaborating just with the other townsfolk that you are settled with, works out really, really well. That is the route to success. There are some better trains than others. Some are not so hot, some are particularly useful, and only through trial and error or listening to other people will you figure out exactly which ones you should be using. I'll admit, I went the trial and error option there. And in fact, no, I didn't even do the trial and error. I did the trial and, that'll do, option. And so I had a real mixed bag of trains at the end of the game, which was fine. It was, it's all good. You make a bit of cash. When you see that this multi-slot unit you're getting is going to generate you £500,000 an hour, you go, yes, yeah. Then you're told that's not the one you should be using. You're just going to go, don't care, £500,000 an hour. Woohoo! Brilliant. Your station ends up looking pretty spectacular. You're getting bonuses clicking up all over the place. The only thing, my one thing that I didn't like, the only thing I didn't like is a flipping train spotters. Flipping. All right, train spotters. For those of you who are just observing this because that's the kind of thing you like to do with yourself. Train spotters, little pictures of the development team. Fair play. That appear randomly over the map that you've uncovered. And you click on them and you get a cash bonus. That's fine early on when the amount of map that you've uncovered is quite small. But later on, if you are, like me, a notification obsessive, if you've got a notification saying something needs your attention here, you want to clear that as quickly as possible. 0 notifications is where we want to end up. And it goes, oh, you've got 10 train spotters to find as you log in for the first time in the morning. You find the first 3, no problem at all. The next 3, slightly more difficult. Next 3, you're kind of going, where the heck are they? Not because you necessarily want the extra cash. Extra cash is obviously good. But because you want the notifications gone. I want them off. I want to get out of here. And so you spend 5 minutes trying to track down the last dude. And he pays you 50 grand. And you go, oh, cheers then. Yeah, that was worth the effort. Look, that's just me, right? That's because I'm an obsessive about clearing notifications. So first thing you do is you go into all the message notifications. You go, mark all as read. Thank you very much. Good. I might read them later on. I probably won't. I'm going to get on with my game. I'm playing my game my way. You leave me to... Oh, we've lost. Anyway, the mighty Kirkville, we finished up in 9th place. All right. Okay. Yeah, I know. 10 cities qualified. We finished in 9th. Hey, look, there's like 60, 70, 50, some odd cities in the game. So we made the final. We just really didn't deliver once we got there. I'm taking all the responsibility for that because I was never going to play this in a competitive fashion. No, I'm a filthy casual, and you know it. So yeah, no, it's good. As far as my own presto is concerned, I was hovering for a long time around 220. I ended up finishing at 260, and I suspect I got pushed aside by people who were actively pursuing the end game stuff. You can earn a heck of a lot of prestige during that time. Yeah, so I think I dropped about 40 places. There were about 1,800 people, I think, in the game in total. So I'm not disappointed with finishing in a creditable 260. That was all good. Association-wise, we did okay. I think we were a top 15 kind of association by the end of the game as well. 1 place behind Fail Rail, who were another one of ours. We got beaten by Fail Rail, who were in the same area as us, so we were collaborating on Kirkville, but in competition to see who was the bigger dog as far as an association was concerned. The Fail Nation, the Rail Brigade, that's what I called them. We got significantly more successful after I appointed a couple of deputies to take over running it. Yeah, as soon as I said, look, I'm really just pushing random buttons here occasionally. I'm like some kind of chimp in a space capsule. You've told me what to press and I'm pressing it, but I couldn't tell you what it was for. So yeah, once I appointed a couple of deputies who seemed to be just ever so slightly more tuned in, they started booting out players who'd quit and bringing in new ones who hadn't quit, and we started performing a bit better. That's a fluke. That's just a coincidence, I reckon. Anyway, thanks very much again to Travian Games for sponsoring this series. It's been fun actually. I'm sorely tempted to give it another go, but I've got so much going on at the moment that I'm not going to. Not for a little while. I might go and give it another look next time. Maybe play one of the alternate game modes. We played the classic, which is kind of the beginner mode. But you've got an East versus West US thing going on. You've got a European dedicated thing. You've got some stuff that's based in the real world. There's a bunch of different ways to play it. New games start all the time. Go play it if you feel like it. More details will be down in the description. There you go. That's your lot. No, that's it. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Cheerio.